When watching Dandadan, there are so many complex and simple storylines that can be woven into a manga and anime, and I have a great appreciation for both its action-packed sequences and its more questionable topics that get thrusted in front of our eyes. But the thing that sticks out the most to me is the romance. For those that are deeply entrenched in anime culture or have any decent understanding of romance within the country of Japan, you know that it's much slower in development and more emphasis is put on the little things within the growth of relationships than we see in Western society. Because of this, many people in the West can be turned off by the romance of certain shows that aren't super to the point and borderline abrasive. Dandadan is a rarity in the way that the romance is woven into the storyline, but it doesn't take over the plot of the show in any given episode. It follows a nerdy, alien-obsessed boy named Okarun and a more rebellious and loud tomboy type of girl in Momo. Through their adventures to reclaim Okarun's missing boy bits, they experience a budding relationship that not only has them realize that they like each other, but also creates a small safe place when they are around each other that only they can enter. And all of it happens so suddenly. As you would expect, Okarun fell first, but his felt extremely relatable. Being the smart kid in class that always got bullied, he never had the chance to make meaningful connections with friends, much less potential love interests. So when Momo randomly stood up for him, it led to him doubling down and trying to find an awkward way to express his desire to be friends with her. This first started with his love for aliens, and then it was contrasted by her belief in ghosts and spirits. One friendly wager that involved a phone call and a freaky granny that wanted man bits, along with the appearance of the three musketeers of non-consensual reproduction and gooning later, and you had a required bond shared between the two. It only deepened with their adventures, and on occasions they would both experience the feeling of romance in the air at different key moments. But none of these times did it take over the story, but instead it showed us the obvious tension that would continue to build but go unspoken about in the process. It felt like it was their own little secret world, and we as viewers were let in on that world that was only meant for them. This reached a head in the infamous car scene that was, of course, interrupted by Gigi, but it was such a small lightning in a bottle moment that showed the shyness of Okarun on full display, while also letting us see the willing assertiveness of Momo, while also not being abrasive with things in the process. Just accidental contact, to slight conscious contact, to lightly running fingers along bandaged hands, and then momentarily interlocked fingers. It was only for the better part of a minute, but it was beautiful all the same. It was like the entire show we were watching an electrician attempting to connect two spliced wires. At first there were sparks, then more sparks, and then they were fully connected and the room was lit up under a golden glow. The entire show we see Okarun develop a desire to not be lonely, weak, and take abuse anymore. Instead, he wants to not only stand on his own 2 feet, but also to defend the person that he cares about most, being Momo. And for Momo, she was longing for someone to truly be her complete and genuine self around. Sometimes she's strong, sometimes she's silly, sometimes she wears a maid outfit for work to help out at home, and sometimes, just sometimes, she's vulnerable. Not cliche and predictably so, no, genuinely and uncontrollably so. The voice acting in the show, both in Japanese and English, fleshes this out very well, and honestly, without proper voice acting, these moments might have even been lost and underappreciated even more than expected. Even after their first short escape from the Mongolian earthworm, we have a key moment with Momo grabbing Okarun's hand, and he blushes at the physical contact, but she gives him direct eye contact before saying that she promises to come back and save him. Even after some mild success against the evil eye, Okarun was left underground and stuck in goo with Turbo Granny when the volcano filled the pit with fiery lava. When Momo finally received assistance from Granny Seiko, Taro, and Mantesian to temporarily seal the evil eye, she immediately took off with Mantesian to check on Okarun. She begged Chiquitita to help her recover Okarun because of her promise, and when he pulled up the cocoon that he was sealed in, she didn't even wait for the worm goo and water mixture to cool it down, and instead elected to scorch her own hands while prying open the shell with every ounce of strength left in her body. Okarun, of course, looks up at her despite having burns all over his body and says, "I knew you would keep your promise." I think this is the moment where Momo realized that she almost lost out on the person that she was seeking the entire time. Her own Ken Takakura, if you will. After Okarun stumbles out of the cocoon and lands on her chest, he gets up quickly and apologetically, but in that moment, the only thing that she could think to do was to crash into his arms, press her head against his chest, and cry. Once he hugged her back, I believe it was a major turning point in their relationship development. Do I think there will still be countless shy moments and unspoken feelings shared between them? Of course. But I also think that their bond, while not in the driver's seat of the show, definitely will be sitting in the passenger seat as opposed to vying for an opportunity to be a backseat driver from the trunk. They ride in the van on the way to check up on Gigi's parents, while 4 people sit in the rows in front of them. But in a special moment, it felt like they were alone. It wasn't something that Momo could just attack though. We see it starting with her accidentally allowing her pinky to touch Okarun's, and then he moved his hand abruptly because he was nervous. But she tells him to put it back as if she was coaxing a shy stray pup from under a park bench. He obeyed, and then she lightly brushes against his hand as they enter the tunnel. The golden glow of the tunnel set the tone for this, and the angle of the drawings that we get from their side profiles as they look out the windows are very telling. We know what they want to do, but we become anxious just wondering if they will actually do it. We don't hear the antics from the front rows of the van. All we hear is the car in motion and them. When Momo begins to dance her fingers across his hand, we realize that Okarun giving consent doesn't involve him moving his hand to meet her or even turning his head to potentially meet her gaze. All he needed to do was remain still and allow Momo to be herself. I draw this parallel to their relationship outside of the car scene because Okarun is shown to always prefer recessive and calm moments that allow him to merely exist around Momo. He doesn't need any extreme action nor the ability to stand out when in her presence. He simply enjoys being in her presence. Meanwhile, Momo is naturally extremely expressive and can be viewed as too over the top by people that don't genuinely know her. The contrast in their outward personalities makes them an ideal match because they don't have to twist or contort themselves in order to fit into the world of the other person. Instead, they can just be. They were so connected without even sharing a gaze. Okarun even tried to make sense of Momo holding his hand by saying he didn't know the rules to the game. But instead of being direct, she simply calms his nerves with simple words and ever so slowly and calmly shared her thoughts with him through the strokes of her fingertips. The framing of the scene leading to the tunnel showed a gap in between them, and I can't help but believe it was symbolic of the mental differences that were felt between their worlds. But after Momo rested her hand fully on Okarun's, we are treated to the side profile view that cancels out the distance as if to tell us, we are now of one realm, and there is no space but ours. But just as both we as viewers and them as livers of the moment enjoyed things, it had to come to an end. And as they came out of the tunnel, we see the gap between them open once more as reality once again sets in. The reason that moments like this hit so hard is because they are subtle and fleeting. It's a small taste of what could be and what could come, but has not formulated enough for them to address in an extremely straightforward and tangible way. They even rushed to move their hands back and into their own laps after leaving the tunnel when Gigi addressed them about the foolishness that came with Taro in the middle seats. And it perfectly explains how they can be open and honest and vulnerable with each other in the bubble that they create for themselves. But in the real world, where eyes are prying, they can't quite create the same intimate bubble with the same freedom. We do vaguely get to see Granny Seiko glancing at them from the rearview mirror, and it is at this point that we realize she has fully recognized what is going on in between the two of them, but even going forward in the story, she doesn't attempt to influence their relationship at all, much less lead them together or apart. And so for now, they are confined to experience moments within moments. But there is a definite step forward that was taken in that moment. If you made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate your time. Let me know in the comments if you would appreciate more comedic reviews or if leaning into a more cinematic vibe is more your style. As always, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and consider becoming a member to help support the content. And as I always say, AYC, what you got for me?
Your theme is peace.